Thank you guys for joining me for my wedding series. I'm so excited to share a bit of information on how I planned my wedding and a little bit of information that will help you decide whether you need a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator. So what is the difference between a wedding coordinator and a wedding planner? Now, the main difference is for a wedding planner, this is for the bride that needs full service planning. This bride doesn't even want to put a list of vendors together or make these big decisions on her own. She needs guidance in this whole entire department. It also is for the bride who just doesn't have the time to deal with all this. So she may have some ideas here and there, but she needs a full-time left and right hand to help her put it all together. Or let's be honest, it's for the bride who, yeah, she has a vision, she knows what she likes, what she doesn't like, but she just doesn't feel like doing it, and she has the finances to pay for that convenience. And at that point, it is a convenience fee. She wants to work with somebody the whole entire way. So that's the bride who wants to get a wedding planner. The bride who needs a wedding coordinator is a bride who has a voice and a vision. She knows exactly what she wants. She knows where to get it, how to do it herself if she wants to, or how to get it done. She may not know every single detail or every question to answer or consider, but she has a pretty good idea in what direction that she's going, and she has a heavy hand herself in the planning process. She just needs somebody to tie up the loose ends and really execute her vision and her plans on the day of the wedding. So now that you're engaged, oh my goodness, it's crazy, it's exciting. Your friends, your finances, your Pinterest boards are all going wild right now. But this is the most important time to stop and focus on a few key elements. The first one is your budget. Your budget is always going to be the most important thing that you have to deal with when it comes to wedding planning. And all the videos that you will see here on YouTube are always going to drill budget, budget, budget. I don't care who you are. You may be a daddy's girl. You may be, I don't know what category you fit into, but a budget is a must. There's no way around it. There's no way to pretend that it doesn't exist. And if you are a bride that doesn't know where to start with her budget, do not, I repeat, do not go around looking online trying to figure out how much things cost and seeing what other people have done, or just looking at the prices of things that you may want or need and then forming your budget. That is the worst way to form your budget. You need to consult your spouse, consult your family, his family, your community resources, and figure out what is realistic to you. Form your budget first, then look at the prices of other things. Don't look at the prices and then form your budget. Once you have your budget in place, please stick to it. If you ask a lot of brides, they'll tell you that they went over budget. And for me, my original budget was $10,000, and I believe I went over budget maybe by like $1,000. So it was probably around $11,000 that I ended up spending for the wedding. But stick to your budget. So now you have your budget. You can decide whether or not you want to fit into the wedding planner category or the wedding coordinator category, or you might just fit into this magical category that requires neither one. You may have a sister, mom, friend, cousin, line sister, anybody who can kind of help fill in these gaps and plug in all the pieces that you need to get this wedding popping. So that is the magic category, and if you fit into it, God bless you, baby. I did not fit into that. I fit into the wedding coordinator category, which, shout out to my girl Akeisha. She was absolutely amazing. I'm gonna leave her information down in the description bar below. Oh my goodness, I could not have done any of what I did without her. Especially, it's one thing to make a plan, but to execute a plan is a totally different thing. And so I could not have done it without her. I will speak more on what she did for me and how she did it later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. So as far as wedding planning in general, I created an acronym for all the elements that I believe are very vital to putting together a beautiful, well-organized wedding. And that acronym is BELIEVE. B, we already talked about the B. That is for your budget. The budget is always going to be important. I'm going to say it again for the folks in the back. The budget is always important. Stick to it. Everything else isn't in order, but the B, that's number one. That's in order. That's in the right place. E, that is for what are you going to eat? What is your menu going to be like? Now you have a couple options when it comes to menu based off of your venue. So most venues will have open catering, preferred list catering, or in-house catering. My venue specifically had in-house catering, so that was the only option that I had. They did not allow any outside catering. I can talk more about that in a what I wish I would have did differently for my wedding kind of video. So if you want to see that kind of video, let me know. But I had in-house catering, and I just had to choose from the different packages that they offered from the specific venue. If you have a venue that allows open catering, you can get that cousin that caters on the side, or you can get your community to rally together and help put something together for you if that's what you need for your budget. Preferred list catering, those usually are companies that have worked with this venue in the past and they've built a rapport with them, and so they want to use those specific catering companies for that specific venue. So you have a bit of options depending on what venue you choose, but those are just some things to consider. L is for location. Location, this is your venue. This is another very big important step when it comes to wedding planning. You have a couple options that you can choose from. Do you want traditional or non-traditional options? Do you want to get married in a church, in a park? This kind of helps you in your search of what kind of venues and what kind of areas of town to look in for your wedding. So for me, I had an outdoor ceremony and an indoor reception, but it was all on the same grounds because I didn't want to transport myself or any of my guests to the reception hall. So all of it was in the same place for me, yet I still got to get both experiences of outdoor and indoor weddings. Now, depending on the season you get married is obviously a factor, but just ask yourself those kind of questions. Do I want to get married in a church? Do I want to get married anywhere else? Do I want to transport? Blah, blah, blah. So those are things to consider for location. Also, one thing you need to be sure and ask about location is, what does it include? What does your venue include? Does it include tables, chairs, linens, setup and breakdown, and different things that you may think you need? Make sure you ask those questions up front because they can kind of try and sneak things in and add and subtract different services. Like for me, oh my goodness, I didn't know that I was required to have a security guard even though I wasn't serving alcohol until after I booked the venue. So just be careful. Be careful with choosing your venue and make sure you understand what it includes and what it doesn't include. I is for interior design. This is your decor. Do you have a theme? Do you have a color scheme? Or is it kind of just like a mashup of Pinterest likes and boards and stuff like that? This is where you get to decide whether or not you want to hire in somebody who does event design, or if you and your team are going to do stuff. If you have a lot of the DIY projects that you want to handle and manage, this is where you decide that and where you consider those things. For me, I did a lot of DIY projects, which you'll see in this wedding series. And so I didn't hire any event designer. And my wedding coordinator, actually, and her team, they really helped with putting things together at the last minute as well. Another thing with interior design that you have to consider is the venue requirements and restrictions. So don't get crazy on Pinterest and try and follow all these lavish designs and garland hanging from the ceiling and blah, blah, blah. Like for me, I wasn't allowed to light candles or hang things from the ceilings or walls. So make sure you understand exactly what your restrictions are from the venue before you get all these grandiose ideas about what your decor is going to look like. E is for entertainment. Now, entertainment is so important. Entertainment is the life of the party. That's what gets things popping. That's what brings people together, other than awkwardly sitting at a table with people they may or may not know. So it's important to have good entertainment. Make sure that you are able to kind of sample some things from DJs and or meet them in person. A lot of DJs these days also have other services and packages. So they may have photo booths and other services that they can do. My DJ actually did some bridal games for me because I had a mixed crowd, older, younger, conservative, liberal, blah, blah, blah. So I wasn't really quite sure how to entertain them all. So I had some games and some things that could bring us all together, and then later on had like a little turn up session. But yes, so my DJ did bridal games. I didn't have him do the photo booth because I did a DIY Polaroid photo wall, and I can share more about that in another video if you would like. Entertainment is something that you want to consider in your budget. This is not something that you want to get Cousin Ray Ray to do, because Cousin Ray Ray he may have similar music taste to you, or whatever. He may have just gotten a little jockey board. But no, baby, you need an MC, you need a DJ, somebody that's gonna keep the party going, because DJs are like the unsaid saviors of weddings sometimes when things get a little quiet or awkward. Like, you need a good DJ. V is for videography and photography. And videography and photography was a really important category for me. It was one of my top 3. I recommend while you're planning, make sure you get with your spouse and come up with a list of 3 top priority aspects of the wedding, and make sure those kind of mash up, and make sure you prioritize those in your budget. So for me, videography and photography was a top priority, because let's be honest, the bride and groom, yeah, they're a big part of the wedding, but a lot of actual weddings are for your guests. You entertain your guests. You want to make sure they're well fed. These are major expenses for your wedding. Rarely is the wedding really and truly about the bride and groom. And so I feel like videography and photography really is going to allow us to look back at the memory and relive the moment, and something that we can carry home with us to savor the memory of our marriage. And so that was a major priority for me. The last E is extras. Extras are always going to be a part of the wedding. It doesn't matter how good you are with budgeting, how tight you are with expenses, and how cheap you get, whatever the case may be, there's always going to be extra expenses. I mentioned earlier about the security guard expense. Then there's server expenses, like you have to pay the servers that serve your food if you decide to do catering. There's taxes, there's all kinds of things. There's things that you forgot the night before, because your mind is like, you get bride brain at this point, and there's things that are gonna come up. Oh, so-and-so's thing doesn't work anymore, we need to grab a new one. Or this doesn't look right without more flowers, let's go get some from Michael's. Like, there's always going to be extras that you need to incorporate in your budget. So don't play yourself. Make a little space, make a little cushion of extra expenses for those emergencies. So once I laid the groundwork for all of those areas, all of Believe, I took my Believe and gave it to my coordinator, and she saw my vision, she saw my ideas, saw exactly what I wanted, and from there she coordinated with all of my vendors. She negotiated contracts, put together detailed timelines, and really put things in order the day of. Like for my rehearsal, she managed my rehearsal dinner. She made sure everybody was on the same page for like the rehearsal and for the day of the wedding. So, I mean, she was just so amazing as far as like executing my vision, and it was so great. She also did a really good job of taking initiative for things and filling in the gaps and asking me questions of things that I didn't even know I was supposed to consider, and making sure that I was on top of certain things. Like, it was just an amazing service that I highly recommend to brides that still want to be involved but need a helping hand, making sure everything make sure everything is executed properly. So like I said, her information is down below. I highly, highly, highly recommend her. And also to all my nurse baes, all my nurse brides out there, she is actually a critical care nurse herself. And so you can imagine her communication, organization, multitasking skills are super on point. So like I said, Akeisha, girl, I love you, and I could not have done this without you. And again, those are the things that I consider to be very important things. Now, I mean, obviously this isn't a comprehensive video. There's some things that I didn't include, like dress and the bridal party stuff, and all those things. There's things surrounding these areas, obviously, that I didn't touch on. But these are like the core things that you need to consider when it comes to what you're going to pay for and what's going to really come together to make this a bomb wedding. Anyways, if you guys have any questions, comments, if you want to know more about my wedding, please let me know down below, and I'll then make another video to include in this series. Thank you guys for making it through this long video. Make sure you subscribe and share this video with any bride or future bride that you think may need to hear this. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.